Check in. Section 104, we live again with another Section 104 podcast. And I'm joined today by my boy Chucky Charles, always sitting in the cut over there in the corner.
That's
but
what
the
I
man
do.
next to me, a different type of person. You hear what I'm saying? The dog, all around, life, ball, whatever it is, ex-football player, businessman. I got my boy Ricky Jean Francois in the building, man. What's going on, dog?
How you doing, baby?
What's going on?
What's going on, man? Tell everybody what you got going on. You know what you got right now.
Right now, I'm a entrepreneur. I don't like to use that word all the time because everybody feel like they can use that word. They're not really entrepreneur, but option trader, real estate, franchisee, mentorship, an advisor. I do it all.
I told y'all, all around dog, 360. You feel me? So let people know we gonna try to learn you today. You get what I'm saying?
I got you.
Let people know where you from.
I'm from Miami, Carroll City. I understand they say Miami Gardens, but I'm from Carroll City.
So
Rick
you
Ross
not a
said
part
he'll
of the
do
Miami
something
Gardens?
too. You say you
Nah,
call it Miami God.
Ain't nothing wrong with Miami Gardens, but I'm not from Miami Gardens. I'm from Carroll City.
Okay.
Okay.
It's a difference.
Yeah, it is. For sure it is. I got an ID that still say Carroll City on that thing. Nah, but from that way.
Yeah, okay.
I feel you. So like I said earlier in the intro, you're an ex-football player, right? When you started playing sport, what age?
Ooh, I think I started the first time I played football. I was 10 years old, and I played for Carroll City at Risco Park. Played 150s.
150s. At 10
10
years old.
Yeah.
I was 148 pounds.
Yeah, back then.
I was
Weight.
I was heavy, so I had to play with the bigger kids. It was quite an experience. It was a hell of an experience to be a 10-year-old playing against older dudes. I think what it was like. Guys were like 12, 13, 14 years old playing that.
Yeah, like 13.
That grew you up fast on the
12,
field.
13.
Yeah.
Oh, what, man? Made you into a grown man. Made you into a grown man quick.
That's crazy, man. So, how, like you say, that experience, you say you're playing for Carroll City, right?
Yeah.
And you say that experience turned you to a dog. You get what I'm saying? So, when the next time you played football after that? Because that's the last time, right?
Yeah.
150s was the last
Last
time.
time.
So, when the next time you played football?
When I was in third grade, next time I played again, like real football, was in the 9th grade.
9th grade. And
I always play street football. I play street football every day, but when people was like, "Yo, man, come play Optimist," I'm like, "Bro, I'm 11 years old. I'm like 160. I'm not finna be like them kids I can see sitting in the car with the garbage bags on, sitting in the coach car sweating." I said, "Nah, bro." I said, "I'll just wait and just keep playing street football."
Oh,
but
man, that astonished you you did that, though.
stunt your growth.
oh man. I was like, oh, and then I didn't know that. That's the crazy thing is we were doing it thinking we was getting weight down to help us, but damn, we never knew that. But the next time I played the game was when I was in the 9th grade for Miami Carroll City.
Straight to varsity.
No, I played JV, then I went to varsity.
Okay.
Okay, so football was the only thing you played?
I did track and field. I was a thrower. I tried to run it, but I'm not built for running.
I see
I'm
that.
just not. If you got a big man relay or a big man who's over like 290 pounds and we can run, yeah, I can do that.
Doing that, okay.
I was a shot, discus, hammer, and javelin throw as I moved on to college.
Okay. My first encounter with you, because you brought up track, you feel me? I ran track for Metro Dade, right?
Right.
You was like in probably 9th, 10th grade or something. I was probably like in the 8th grade at the time or whatnot, and I seen this big guy come walk on the bus. Like, I'm like, I don't know, who is this dude? Like, man, got all the gold medals around his neck. You know, at the time I got all the gold medals around my neck. So I'm like, who else stunting like me? I'm the only one supposed to, you know, I don't want all my events. So I guess he did too. And that's my first time ever, you know, noticing you or, you feel me, like being around you or whatnot. So you say you went to Carroll City, played JV, 9th grade, right? Chuck, you had any encounters with him? Because I know you played.
Yeah, he was 9th grade. That was my 10th grade year. We played and we lost. Yeah. I got a below 500 record against Carroll City in my high school career.
I can't say the same.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Facts are facts. I got to speak the truth, man.
But, y'all, the park was just named after Coach Frazier, right?
Right.
Legendary
Legend.
coach at Carroll
Coach.
City. What, wartime.
Yes.
Wartime, that's what it is. That's what he preached to y'all. How was it playing for Coach Frazier, the legendary Coach Frazier?
He showed you it wasn't easy to be a chief. He showed you had to put work in. the weight room, tour-a-days. Like, that man took us through a process, man. Going to being in school, you had to take weight training. Either you was going to get it 5 a.m. in the morning, or you was going to get it during school, you was going to get it during after practice. You could have just picked your choice. Everybody, well, if you ain't never, every person in Carol City will argue. Football player will argue at their counselor, yo, let me get weight training for class. Because you ain't getting up at 5 a.m. in the morning coming in there lifting weight, or even after practice. You ready to go home, but dudes had to go and lift weights. But his experience, and not just only on the football field, but off the football field, talking to us, and he used to treat us like his son. So he used to treat us, and it helped out a lot. You can see a lot of guys from my point, even from younger, they walk around different. They move a little bit different. They're men. Like when you walk into our weight room, it said, you come in as a kid, you're gonna leave as a man. So when he did that, and you just seen so many historical dudes come before me, Santana, J-Boy, OJ, God bless his soul, Donald Heaven, Rudy Barber, I can go down the line. I wanted to be a part of that. So to be with a coach that can put me in a position to be amongst those type of names or that type of rank, it was I accepted the challenge and went up with it. Love him to death because he did a lot for my career. And as a boy growing as a man, he did a lot for him too.
Yeah, shout out to Coach Frazier, man. So,
GOAT, man.
Yeah, Coach Frazier, he was a GOAT, man. And I'm going to ask you this. What about these kids nowadays? You think they could have played for Coach Frazier?
Ooh.
Different.
I know a lot of parents would be getting mad. I know parents look at this too. They could,
just keep it 100.
We were just built different back then. Like, and it's nothing against the kids now, we were just built different. Playing for Coach Frazier, man, you had to be cut from a different cloth.
Yeah.
To play with that man, to understand, you're not playing football. This is you and falling in love with football. He gonna make you go through the ups, downs, struggles, responsibility. Man, you talking about like during the week, he made sure you was on time. So you always had to pick up your clothespin at 7:20 a.m. If that bell rung, anything after that, or your hands are touching that, hey, don't worry about it. You ain't playing this week. You play next week. So he's keep us all accountable. Then we had to check in by 7:15 in the cafeteria. You always had to write your name down on this piece of paper. So he knew you wasn't gonna late. If your name was on that thing at 7:15, there's no way you can be late. But if you did, man, you might as well just go ahead and sit out that week. But he started teaching us how to be held accountable. Right. Men don't come to jobs late. They come on time. Being on time is late. Being early is being on time. So he instilled that into us young, and we didn't realize it. We just, man, we going to school, we playing football. Yeah. But now understanding unconsciously, he was teaching us, he was molding us while we was going in. It became a habit to us. Bro, you didn't even know you was doing that automatically, like you was just doing it.
Yeah, Coach Frazier was different, man. Coach Frazier one time, it's a funny story about Coach Frazier, right? After I graduated, I was with some of y'all former players, and we went back to the weight room. We're in Carol City weight room, and we lifting. Coach Frazier so happened to walks in there. He pulled me out of everybody in the weight room, right? Pulled me aside and said, son, don't you live down the street? I said, yeah, Coach, I live down the street. He said, you could have helped me win championships. Since you didn't, get out my weight room. Kick me out the weight room, dog. Kick me out the weight room, bro. I swear on everything I love. But like you say, he wore that chief pride. You know what I'm saying? Real.
He bled that orange and black was his thing.
Yeah. So you was one of the top D linemen coming out in the state of Florida, 5-star, right? UM, Florida State, Florida, the big three. What made you choose LSU? You got out the state of Florida, bro.
Yeah, because that's a great question, honestly, because y'all kind of had like a pipeline kind of going through UM, Carol City, you know, with J-Boy and Santana, Sonoras.
And Glenn Sharp.
Yeah.
So let me start off.
Kenny Phillips.
He was my same crew class.
Teammate.
So Randy Shannon. When me and Kenny took our visit, he was like, yo, you got to commit right now. I'm like, no, I'm not going to commit. I'm not going to commit right now. I got a few more trips to take. If you leave here without committing, you would not have a scholarship at the University, man. I'm like, said, all right, man, okay, cool. So when I got home, I think that was the Saturday we took the recruitment. On Monday, we got in school, you know, if you got the FedEx, you know you got the scholarship paper. So I sent it from UM. I said, okay, bet. Posted it up on the wall. In my head, I'm like, didn't Randy Shannon say he wasn't going to send me this? Okay, cool. went to take all my visits, came back. I said, well, I'm finna go to UM. Called, and I remember there was a nice lady on the phone. She was like, baby, I ain't got no scholarship for you. So I said, I'm looking at this piece of paper in my hand that said y'all gave me a scholarship in front of me. She's like, baby, I'm looking down on this piece of paper. You are not on this piece of paper. I said, wow. And then I was just chilling. And I didn't take one more visit. I was chilling. I wasn't finna take no more. And all I just saw was a little short dude, blonde hair, ring big as day. Nick Saban walking the building. Nick came in there and hollered at me. Nick just sat down and he was like, hey, I got Marcus Spears here. He's finna leave. I need another defensive end. I'm not saying you're gonna start this year, but you can work yourself through the rotation. If you make it, cool. If you don't, I'm gonna just redshirt you. He said, how you like that deal? The whole time when he talked, I'm looking at the ring on his finger. I said, yeah, cool. I'm with it. He was like, I got talent stacked on top of talent. I was like, yeah, I said, I got it. I wanted to go to Florida, but I didn't know who Urban Myers was. I think it was Ron Zook that was there at the time.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't know this guy. And he was like, nah, he's going to be a good coach. I'm like, I've been looking at Ron Zook my whole few years while I was in high school. Why am I going to go to somebody I don't know? So I left him alone. I really was supposed to go to USC. I was supposed to go to USC.
West Coast?
I was going to go West Coast because at the time, USC was putting out defensive linemen.
Yeah.
And they was running things.
And
Reggie Bush, Matt Liner, Mike Williams.
But you know the crazy thing is? The day Pete Carroll walked in our school, me and Kenny looked at each other crazy and we didn't know who Pete Carroll was. Because think about it, you didn't look at West Coast games. Think about it. Back then, with that UM game, and probably a primetime ABC CBS game, and you never paid attention. We didn't know who the West Coast was, but I'm looking at Kenny like, hey, yo, bro, who this? And he was like, bro, Coach Frazier looked at us, he's like, how in the hell y'all sitting in front of this man? I'm like, because it was in the national championship at that time against Oklahoma. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't know who it is. So once I started looking them up and I started seeing how many defensive linemen they was putting out in the first round every year, and I seen who their D-line coach was, Coach Ozeron. I was like, yo, I'm finna go to USC. Once that was over, they didn't even have to get me out to USC. I was like, yo, I want to go to USC. And then a few weeks later, Ozeron said, hey, Rick, I'm going to Ole Miss. I said, oh, nah, boy. I'm sorry. I said, bro, why you leaving USC? Like, it's not for me, Rick. I feel like I could take on the head coaching job. I'm like, you're not giving me. I said, you can't give me to go to Ole Miss, coach. Yeah. I'm sorry.
I got a question for you, though. I want to back it up real quick to Carol City. And I remember watching you and Kenny Phillips play in high school and all that. What was your best game that you feel that you played in high school?
It was always against Miami Northwestern. Always against Northwestern. I think, that was always my best statistic game. I don't know if it was, I think I had 6 sacks in that game, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was in the Orange Bowl, if I'm not mistaken. I was player of the week. We used to be the player of the week back then. We used to go to the Dolphin facility and hang out. Yeah. And it was against Miami Northwestern. They had a block punt. You had a block punt, a fumble recovery, a few sacks, and an interception that game. But every time we played against the West, I always had, for some reason, when I saw blue and gold, this is going to be the game we're going off.
Was that your junior year or senior year?
No, senior. That happened my senior. Even in my junior year when we played them, when a great Tim Brown who played for Northwestern, when they beat us the first time, 17-zip. But when they came back the next time, they lost 28-6. We knocked them out of the playoffs 28-6.
Man, how was it playing with Willie Williams though?
That was different. It was almost like you were playing with a junior in college in high school. You're talking about somebody that's 6'4", 6'5", 240, can literally run like a 10.5 and 100, damn, can run like a 4.3, 4.4 and a 40, and something moving like that on the field, and that know how to play football. I said, oh man, my game finna get a lot easier. Ain't no more double teams here. And everybody focused on him. He was a great athlete, #1 recruit in the country. Every day I was like, yo, he legit was who he was. When you saw him come from Payson, you went to Carol City, it was like, oh yeah, this is just an addition to the defense. He just added on to what we already had. I just think we get overshadowed sometimes when people think he changed the difference. But if you look at statistics, other dudes had more tackles than him. Had more like sacks than him. But because he earned the right his junior year to become the #1 player in the country, you couldn't take that away from him. But statistically, people don't never look at the paper like, yo, statistically, you had dudes that had better stats than him. And he made impacts in the game always. Hell, he did that in the state game when he broke the quarterback's arm. So he had an impact. He was a hell of a player, man. I wish he could have stayed on the right track and went because, bro, he was already prepared. He was already physically built, athletically built. All you just had to do
he
was
was a prototype.
Bro, he was unreal. Like you said, a creative player.
Yeah,
that's
that
what
was
you
him.
had. That's what it was, a creative player.
Yeah.
So my next question: how was it? Like, did y'all have a lot of competition? Did y'all? I know sometimes people bet like, oh, I'm gonna get more sacks than you. I'm gonna do this. Was the competition level there between y'all two, or you stayed in your lane?
I wasn't trying to. My thing was I wasn't trying to beat him because he ain't come from the legacy. I wanted to beat guys like OJ. I wanted to beat guys like Cedric Bembry. I wanted to beat guys like Alfred Peterson. You talking about a Willie Jones who got 37 sacks in 10 games. So my thing was, it was nothing against him. He was a great player, but I wanted to beat them. Because if I could beat them, I can walk away from these hallways and years and years and years later, there's no way you're not talking about me up against these type of guys.
True. And another thing, I know your best game wasn't against Century because you never could catch him.
because I was just going to ask you that. I know
never
you two
could catch
went up
him.
against each other, so I know y'all two got some stories about each other playing against each other.
Oh, yeah, we got some more stories.
We don't really like to talk about it, but, my boy was that guy. Like, he really was.
Like I say, I only lost to Kansas City one time.
And what was that? That was a playoff game, right?
That was a playoff game.
It was a crucial
How did the
game.
game end?
We know how it ended.
I just wanted to just say.
Do we want to be real?
No. What happened? How did the game end? There you go. That's the answer right there. You got to say that's the answer. That one time. How did that one time come about?
Yeah, but you want to talk about how it came about because that's, we can't really speak on that.
That's
on
what
camera,
I asked.
I'm gonna leave that alone.
But nobody wanted to say nothing about the interception in the game.
You did it.
Oh, my fault. Because that was the part of the game that changed.
But y'all wasn't even supposed to be in the game.
Right.
First of all,
I was finna say I don't even think they were supposed to be in the game.
Y'all
Did they
wasn't
pay
supposed
one of
to
the
be in
Central
the
players to
how
blow
many
the-
people? That
had nothing to do with it. I'm going off what happened on the football field.
Your
just
senior
saying.
year, how many people rushed for 100 yards on your defense?
None, probably.
I did.
I got six.
That game.
Oh yeah, when y'all switched to a wing team.
That game.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm trying to tell you.
You went from a team that had stack of. One thing I give Central, they have a backfield full of backs. They had them, and then they switched to wing team. Now we've been studying them the whole damn week. All of a sudden, we get in the game. I said, "Hold up, why they going in the wing team?" You see him? Then you see? I think if I'm not mistaken, Terry. And there was one more guy. I see all these dudes on the field. I'm like, yo, when these dudes start running wing team? And every time they would give the ball away, and I'm in the nose, these dudes gonna go left. All right, let me go to the left end. These dudes go right. Okay, I'm gonna go to the right end. These dudes who run the ball every which way I wasn't standing. I said, bro, you killing me, bro.
Yeah.
And he would laugh about it. He'd get on the floor. Hey, Rick, well, you ain't gonna never catch me. I have to cross one side of that field to get to the other side of the field just to hit him. And I ain't even care if the whistle blew. I just fell on him just cause. Like, okay, bro,
And he still do it though. And he still do it, even playing flag. This man be tackling me, man. And I don't got the ball here tackling.
And the ref don't say nothing. If the ref don't throw a personal flag, ain't nothing. Still in the play. The ref don't say nothing.
God, it's crazy. So, at Kansas City, you walked away with a ring.
Yeah.
You had a state championship. Like you said, Willie Williams broke the quarterback arm in the state championship. But you went to be an LSU Tiger.
Yeah.
And you got a natty. Mm-hmm. You feel me? How'd that feel?
That was great, especially to win a national championship in New Orleans. We didn't have to go far. Then it was against like a great Ohio State team. That team was stacked.
Yeah.
You had Beatties Well, you had Larry Knight. You had quite a few players on that team. But to win that championship in the state of Louisiana and winning in New Orleans, it was good. Only thing I hated about that night, once we won it, I couldn't get down the damn Bourbon Street. As soon as I walked out of the hotel, you Ricky Jean Francois? Nah, I'm his bodyguard. Nah, bro, what you to do on TV? I was like, yeah. Then as soon as you start signing, it was like, damn, bro. I said, yo, I give anybody $50 to go and give me a 180 hand grenade. Just give me a hand grenade and bring it back because there's no way I'm gonna get down the street. I was trying to leave the hotel. Yo, I might have to stay in the hotel tonight. I said, I can't leave because everybody knew we won and who I was. I was trying to get my coach, Bo Pelini. He ended up becoming a head coach in Nebraska.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, I'm going to stand next to your family and walk around like the bodyguard. He's like, Rick, that's just not going to work. I said, man, yeah, we do it, man. He got me to the front of Bourbon Street. That's as far as I got. I couldn't even go down. I couldn't go down Canal. I was like, bro, I said, but it was an amazing experience. That was my favorite year of college. From that, just coming back to school, like during that time we took breaks, because that was during like the winter break when the national championship happened. come back to school, you sit in the room, like everybody looking at you and stuff, and you give people, you standing ovations, or you walking through the quad and people clapping, you like, what they clapping for?
Yeah.
They're like, bro, you was the Divas MVP. I'm like, oh yeah, but I'm looking at it as normal, but everybody else said, oh yeah, that's a whole nother level. It's different when you're in college, especially
national TV.
Yeah, national TV.
And the whole campus looking at you.
Right.
That's crazy.
But I got a question though. So when you got to LSU, right? I remember you saying in the beginning of this that your spot wasn't promised, right?
Yeah.
So what type of work ethic you had when you got on campus to get that starting position? Most people in Miami, I'm gonna say this because my coach said this. Most people from Miami go to school with a Miami attitude, right? That, I think I'm the, you know what I mean? But what made you be humble
God's
enough?
gift to football.
Yeah. What made you be humble enough to know that I gotta go through these growing pains? I gotta, you know what I mean, work out, do this certain stuff to start.
When I saw dudes like Andrew Whitworth, when I got there and I seen how big the linemen were, like, yeah, I was big down here. When I got up there and seen what they looked like, it was like, you got to do 6'7" by 320. They can run just as fast as you.
Yeah.
They can do everything you can. I'm like, oh yeah, I might need a red shirt this year, bro. I was like, this ain't it. But when I had like a Kyle Williams that played in the league for 15 years, had a Tyson Jackson, a Glenn Dorsey, you had to compete every day. Because we, at the time when I got there, like, they already had their set line, and then they had a future behind them. But I said in my head, how can I penetrate their future? How can I be a part of the future? Not to take anybody away, but like you're saying, we going for a job. So I came in and I grinded. I tried to be the strongest, the fastest out of all linemen. I was trying to do everything the linemen couldn't do. Even if they kept beating me every day, I didn't care. As long as I knew I was close to your standard or someone around you, I said, at least I know I'm on the right path.
Yeah. I want to ask the question, right? Because one of them games to get to the national championship that year, it was a big play made. The catch by Demetrius Burge.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, the Auburn game.
That Auburn game, right? Now, go on the sideline, what's going through your head? That whole drive before that play and then when that play happened.
I'm surprised I had hair now, because that night we was going. If you ever get a chance to go to Tiger Stadium on a Saturday night against an SEC team, you have no other experience in college football besides that.
I've heard.
It's a different, in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, at nighttime in that stadium, whole different experience.
So that's the real Death Valley.
Yes. That is not Clemson.
Yeah, not Clemson.
Who came up with it, whomever else, but that's LSU. But that night we was going back and forth, us versus Auburn. We was going back and forth. It was a classic. And then called the timeout. Then they came in, and I'm like, okay, cool. What the hell we finna run? And I saw two. I seen it from the other side. I was looking from the offense. Two blitzes came. Jacob Hester and Charles Scott made the blocks, and all I just saw was Matt Flynn float the ball up in there, and I'm like, oh shit. Buddy, like he was damn near pass interference, Bird, but you know the ref wasn't finna make no call. And he caught that ball, boy, that shit erupted.
Yeah.
Like, I'm talking about, you couldn't mean like how we sitting here, we wasn't gonna hear each other. It got like death defying, and Bird got up and did this. I said, oh man.
Oh yeah.
He left that. Until this day, you go to that's one of the plays hell that got us to the national championship, to the SEC championship to get us there. So yeah, shout out to Bird, man. He was a hell of a receiver at LSU. Hands down, one of the best receivers to come in and make an impact quick. He ain't have to develop. He was already there.
Yeah. And here another Miami boy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I know y'all boys was feeling great after that. Florida boys doing their thing.
But that year, y'all had a few people. Y'all had Ali Highsmith was on that team. On that team.
Yeah.
How was it playing with a lot of big names, especially a lot of y'all names was from Miami?
It was a great experience. Ali Highsmith was my roommate. He ended up coming get me as a freshman. He was like, bro, I stayed with a few guys, and he was like, bro, you from the crib now. You got to move in this room. I was like, okay, cool. I'm moving in. I got Ali with me. He was a great mentor. He showed me around. He was up for year in and year out. He was always up for, I think, the Dick Buckets Award. Yeah, he should have won it because he was one of the most.
He had a good year that year.
Yeah,
he had a great year actually. Yeah.
People at LSU don't understand this, and this before the NIL. When people walked around with number 7, it wasn't because of Patrick Peterson or nobody. It was because of Ali Highsmith. They just couldn't put the name behind it. Yeah. But when you saw 7, it was because of Ali Highsmith. Yeah. He was a legit linebacker, a headbanger, going out there and playing his butt off each and every other day,
he got away from UM.
Yeah. Hey, Dwayne Bowe also.
Yeah.
That's another guy. They got away. Nick Saban knew how to recruit. Nick and LSU just knew how to come down. Jimbo Fisher, let me say that. Jimbo Fisher knew how to come down here and get talent, and he did it every time. When he came down and got Dwayne Ball, like he took that from UM. And I said it was the night before when he signed. Everybody thought he was going to UM. He ended up going to LSU. He ended up becoming an incredible receiver at LSU. He did some years in the NFL. He was a great receiver, but at that time, Nick Saban and LSU Tigers and Jimbo Fisher did a great job of coming down here and picking out what they wanted to go up. Even also, don't let me forget Terrell McGill. He was a lineman from Miami, New Orleans that went up there. Yeah. Anytime you saw a coach come down here that was from out of state, at that period of time, you knew they was coming. They knew what they was coming for. They didn't want a group. I just need you. I just need you. I need you. All right, cool. And all this made an impact when we was at LSU.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, the Miami boys, y'all seem like y'all was really running the team because y'all was the ones making the big plays and really made a name for recruiters to come to Miami from out of state to be like, oh, we got to get the Miami boys. But one question I want to ask you, what game you felt made you that superstar?
National championship game. I was, so the year before I ended up getting, so let me say the whole thing. So we had a science project or some class project, and I remember I asked LSU for a tutor. They gave me a tutor, so the dude gave me a piece of paper and showed it to him. He was like, hey, I need to go over this. I need to do this project. Hey, all I want you to do is just put your name on it. That's it. I'm like, nah, this don't sound right. I don't want to put my name on it. So to speed up, I ended up getting jammed up for plagiarism. So I had to sit out for a whole year. And my first game was against Tennessee in the SEC championship. And that's when they had Arian Foster at running back.
Yeah.
Came in that game, did my thing. Then when the national championship game came, and I'm like, yo, I get to play football again, but I get to do it here in Louisiana. I gotta play. And then at the time, I had one of the most highly decorated defensive linemen in college football or in LSU history, Glenn Dorsey. He won just about every award.
Yeah,
7-2.
He won every award. Yeah, that's 7-2. He won every award in college that a defensive lineman or a defensive player could have won that year. Hell, he probably was on the Heisman. I don't know. He probably was 9th or 10th. But they were so focused on him that night. It was like, yo, you got to shine. You got to go play football. And that first play, when the first play of the game, I remember I ended up getting not a TFI. I ended up hitting the quarterback, but we was about to go into halftime, and we was down, and I seen they was going for a field goal, and I see most teams set up field goals a little bit different. Buddy in front of me thought he would just he ain't finna really come off the ball. And that play, I just leveled my head down, and I came up, and I just felt that ball come off my hand. I said, oh, shit, we got to block field goal. After that, the game changed. From that block field goal, if they did it, they up 10-zip.
Yeah.
When that block field goal happened, whole game changed. We playing a whole different ball game.
Yeah, y'all that confidence.
Yeah, the momentum, it gave it to us to see that happen. And I didn't realize everything about that game until afterwards. Because my one goal was, somebody asked me a few weeks, what is your college dream? I said, I want to be like Peter Ward when he had those black and white Nike gloves on, with next to Bobby Bowden holding the crystal ball. Just holding the crystal ball. Yeah. And didn't realize when I got a chance to get on there and I saw the yellow and purple confetti just come down and I got a chance to hold, I said, damn, I actually did what I said. I can actually feel like Peter Ward when he held that national championship, and to be a defensive MVP of that game. And like I said, having Glenn Dorsey, I had Tyson Jackson, I had some D linemen stacked around me. And to win that award that night, man, it was just icing on the cake to say, yo, I can still play football. It's time. The next following year, I said, it's my time to shine.
Yeah, that's live. I ain't gonna lie. Winning a natty, bro. Yeah, I can only imagine.
But to do it there,
in Louisiana,
in Louisiana is different. You get to win it there, and you get to feel the love as soon as you get off the bus. Like, I couldn't get on the bus. I had to go on the state troop. Me and Matt Flynn had to go on the state trooper car. So when the buses pull out in front of the thing, bro, it looked like you seen like it's almost like it's a rock star outside. Yeah. Me and him, we hit in the back entry to go inside the hotel. We had to hurry and go in our room. The team get to walk in. I'm just standing at like the escalator looking down like, damn, bro, I could have walked through that. But people were saying like, bro, you wasn't gonna make it through that. They was like, they said, bro, if you never understood Louisiana fan, LSU Tiger fan, they were like, bro, there's no way you're gonna make it from there. But I'm like, but it's 80, it's like it's 100 players on there. Believe me, they're gonna figure out who you is. They're gonna see you when you walk off that bus. You're not gonna walk off with the same energy as them. Your energy gonna be a little bit different because you was just awarded the defense MVP of the game.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is, one of the dudes at the game, I'm ready to run in the stands when the game was over with. And this dude grabbed me, he was like, Rick, man, you just won the defense MVP. I was like, man, let me go, you tripping. Because me and him used to always play games.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get up, I'm literally trying to climb the wall to get up in the stand. He was like, no, bro, you gotta go to the stage. I'm like, I'm not going to no stage. And all I saw was these 2 big ass security guards that was like 7 foot. Hey, bro. Hey, you got, yeah, we going to the stage then. Come on, yeah, we going to the stage.
Bigger than you,
Hey, what? I'm in pads and everything, and I just see these 2 big shots. I'm like, okay, yeah, it's time to go to the stage. But winning that championship in Louisiana and to do it in that fashion and get to do it in front of our fans, man, that's priceless. I love Baton Rouge. That's what started it off for me. Going to keep doing what I was doing as a football player.
Yeah.
And before you answer that question, I want to ask you this because I like to get in the mindset of people. And you was in college, right?
Yeah.
And you spoke about you having to miss a whole year almost of football, right?
Yeah.
What was your mindset during that time? That you know what I mean? Like that's probably one of your downest points in your college career.
No lie, at the time I was going to leave. I was finna go to Florida State, but it was like, yo, you're gonna have to sit out a year if you go. And at that time, I was just like, bro, I was go to class, go to my room, bro. I wouldn't come outside. I wouldn't communicate with nobody. I wouldn't talk to nobody. It was like they took my why away. And during that time, I had a few homeboys, Brent Holmes. I had Chumeka. I had a few homeboys that was there every day, bro. They was knocked out. They would beat on my door. Hey, bro, we got to go to the rec. I'm like, what was going to the rec for, bro? You got to work out. I'm like, bro, I'm not working out. And then when the NCAA gave me my date, they were like, yo, you can be eligible again for November 28th. So Bo Pelini was like, bro, you got to get prepared for the SEC championship. But before that process, I had a bunch of homeboys. Always understand that the people around you is going to help you. The most influential people around you, you're going to find out real quick. When you're at your lowest point, those are going to be the people that move you. So my homeboys would come in every day, bro. We would get in the sauna. We would go play basketball. They would have me running. They would have me lifting. And it was just like, I had to rearrange what's my why. Until that date, I can change it back to the real reason I want it. What's my why? I said, okay, cool. Let me get in the books. Let me get back in my books. Let me go to study hall. Let me literally know my teachers. Let me holler at them. If I can't play football right now or practice, right, I'm going to go do this right now. So I just logged into my schoolwork. I stayed down to I was like, yo, this is my why. When that why ended up going back to what it was, and I thank my friends, hands down, Brent Holmes and them, when they got a chance to go back to it, it was like a breath of fresh air. I wasn't in much of a football shape because they wouldn't let me practice.
Right.
So when I got back, you talking about being blowed, being dog. We playing in the SEC championship. I think Glenn Dorsey hurt his tailbone. And they were like, yo, Rick, you got to play the whole game. And I'm like, bro, I ain't played a game. I ain't played a game in a while. They were like, bro, you're going to have to man up out there. Boy, you talking about trying to breathe, catching Arian Foster in college, not in the league, in college? Yeah. I was so dog head, boy. When they said we won, boy, I just laid on the ground. You can find the video. I laid on the ground. I started crying, and dudes were trying to get me up. I said, bro, just leave me alone, bro. Just let a brother cry.
I know that recovery was crazy. I bet the next day was crazy.
Oh, man.
But I want to ask you, being highly recruited out of high school, right? What you think your NIL would have been?
Oh, man.
What them dollar signs would have been looking like?
It would have been good. I know that. It would have been a good number because I was a highly recruited guy, especially at my position. And at the time, I was Kenny Phillips was number 1, Demetrius Morley was number 2, and I was number 3.
Right.
But at my position, I was number 1. It would have been up there. It would have been up there. I know it would have. I'd have had that. Especially I'd have had money to go after. Yeah. You telling me as a kid, oh, this is what I got to do to get. Oh yeah, it wouldn't have been nobody next to me in that spot as a defensive lineman. I probably would have dealt with the kids. I would have just reset the market for the next kid to come up. Is money on the line? And you telling me, okay, cool. I got to be this good to get this or get this type of money? All right, say less. I would have lived the Carol City weight room. I did then, but I would have been like, yo, mom, I'll see you in a week or two. Gonna stay inside this weight room, stay in this film room, get on the track and field, keep doing what I was doing. I'd have had the dollars. I'd at least been in the millions somewhere.
Right. I remember going to Carol City games when y'all playing against y'all or whatnot, and y'all will run out, and you will have your brother lead y'all out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You talk a little bit about that?
Oh man, Junior was one of my wives. My brother, that's my oldest brother. Born on the same day, same month, 2 different years. He was in '85. I'm in '86. He's can't talk, he can't hear. I feel like he got selective hearing. He talk when he wants to.
Yeah,
that's how I feel about him. But yeah, he was with us because my parents would, then both of my parents was working, and it was no way I was not going to not be an athlete. So we adopted him. Basically, Coach Frazier did. He will always be with Coach Frazier. I will always be over with the team. But I used him for an advantage because, boy, them days when we was dog tired and couldn't. You can't drink water. We used to tell my brother, man, bro, go over there. He wouldn't say no to Junior. Yeah. But he'll kill us for touching the water. We used to be like, Junior, man, take this jug, bro. And he just was implemented to the team. Everybody loved him. Yeah. He was very helpful with us. He just brought a smile to everybody's face. Like, you just see somebody who wanted to be around the football. We'd be in the weight room. We'd try to damn near kill himself to lift what everybody else was lifting. But it was just what he seen, the environment around him made him like a part of it. So I think it was, I don't know what game it was, he told Junior to run. I was like, bro, you want Junior to run in front of this? If you fall, boys, it's not going to be nice because we're right behind this cut back. And he did that. That was a proud moment. Mm-hmm. And I remember seeing him when we played the West my senior year. They did a whole article piece on him. And I was like, man, that was dope. To be able to have my older brother on a newspaper article, seeing myself all the time, but to be able to see him next to him and being spoken of, oh man, it was a whole different feeling.
Yeah, and I used to love seeing that. I ain't gonna lie, I was very proud because I knew you. You were my dog, so I used to like seeing that. So after college, you transitioning to the NFL. You can talk about that transition right before like that draft process.
Man, working out every day. Like you gotta eat, sleep, breathe football. People say that then, but you gotta be able to wake up from whenever your bowl game over. You gotta work out all the way until the combine was in March this year, right?
Yeah.
So you gotta work out all the way to combine time.
But you talking like in February back then.
February, okay, yeah. February back then. So for at least 2 to 3 months, depending what guys came out, all you did was work out every day. Yeah. This you ain't have to do nothing else.
School
just work out. Your school is done. Yeah. You ain't got nothing to do. You ain't got nothing to do with school. Now, right now, is starting your NFL career. How you gonna work out? How much dedication you gonna put to it? You talking about from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. You working out every day. What you're eating ain't no more fast food. There's nothing. The chicken ain't barely got seasoning. Your broccoli just steamed. Your eating changed. You're only downing like shakes in the morning during the afternoon. I didn't know none of what creatine and all this was, and they telling that you got to take beta and all this. It was like, yo, this shit is a science. Yeah. But you realize during that process what it takes to really become an NFL player, and that was the first. I went to Pete Bomberito to work out, so you seeing every day you got to go through this. At times, I used to always come back to Pete Bomberito and always work out with the old heads, but they wasn't doing combine training. Right. You talking about preparing for the 40, the L drill, the vertical, the bench press. You got to do interviews when you're inside of a room that's so damn tiny, but it got the whole organization in here. You got to answer every question. Every question they asking you, believe me, they know everything about you from the day you was born until the day that you're in front of them. They're asking you every question. Crazy. So no need to lie. They sitting there with a computer like, hey Rick, man, what's your favorite color? And they looking at it on the screen. What's your mom made now? Okay, cool. What did you do in the 3rd grade that got you suspended? You be like, oh damn, buddy hit me with that question? Like it was really like, okay, my world has changed. I'm not a kid anymore. I'm really becoming an adult going into a league where it's a bunch of grown men that has families, that has careers, that do marketing, that makes millions. And now I'm this kid that's finna come in and I'm just finna become from a kid to a young adult and really have to start understanding what's on the line now. Yeah. Like, yo, I can't go back home. I can't, even though I was in Miami, I couldn't drive back to Carol City. I had to stay here because you had to get rest, you had to get sleep, you had to hydrate, you had to eat. It's so much that goes in that, bro. For 2 straight months, bro, you'll be bored as hell. But you understand what your why is while you're doing it. Yeah. It's time to go to the combine and compete.
It's a reason.
You want that 40 time. You want that. You got all these coaches up here writing down, talking about you. You want to hear Mike Mayock said you to move from this round to this round. So it's so much that go through it mentally. You don't really pay attention. All you just be like, bro, we got to do this every day. For 2 to 3 straight months, you're preparing to go to the NFL Combine to put on and display for these coaches to understand why they got you valued at this, or why you finna move up on the charts. Right. And you're gonna be a 1st round pick or a 1st pick or whatever. But that process right there is a process that you can't take for granted. You gotta you got to balls to the wall on that one.
So it's true that these professional leagues really do have investigative teams that do their real homework on you.
Oh, every time. Think about this. If you have millions and you hadn't invested in somebody, you just gonna hand it to them?
Nope.
You gonna learn. You gonna know everything. You gonna know every little thing about them before you put this $20 million, $30 million, $40 million a year. Even Pat Riley. Whenever they even had stories about Pat Riley, man got eyes across the whole city. It doesn't matter where you go. He had eyes across the. If those people are interested in you, I got to know you before I know you know I'm looking at you. So I got to do investigation. So when I get the chance to talk to you, I'm holding this conversation, but you got to realize the questions I'm asking is for a reason.
Right.
So I used to always tell kids, bro, you go to the combine. The gig's up, brother. They already know everything about you. Don't even lie. Don't even waste your time. They're just asking you the question to see would you lie. We already know the answer. We just need to see if you're going to answer that.
Yeah, because everything is documented. Referrals, all that. They go back and they could see all that. All that is put into a system.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? And so now you in the process. What round? What you end up getting drafted?
I got drafted in the 7th round.
7th round. So now you gonna got drafted. You on a team now.
Yeah.
Right. What team you end up going to?
San Francisco 49ers.
San Francisco. You out there with some dogs again.
Yeah.
All right. So what's your mindset? What's your process now? See, now you got drafted. Now you on a team.
To show you why I need to be on this 53-man roster. Like when I got there, it was like, okay, it was cool. You seen in the NFL, they treated dudes different. This is how we're gonna treat the 1st round pick. We're gonna treat the 2nd round pick. I'm at the bottom. I'm at the bottom. I'm over there with practice squad play. Yo, go over there because a lot of 7th rounders back then didn't make the roster. Now everybody makes the roster. But back then, nah, boy, you had to battle. So me coming in there with Justice Smith, soon to be Hall of Famer. You got a Kentuan Bomber who was just a 1st round pick to the 49ers. You had a Ray McDonald. You had some vets in there. Like, oh damn, I really got to compete against them. So every day I went out to practice. It was no bother. Like, yo, I got to compete. I got to beat up on whoever in front of me to show them why I need to be on this team. Why my career need to start in San Francisco and not you release me, then I become a free agent. I was happy for the moment. Roger Goodell said my name, but when you really get there, that what he just said don't mean nothing to you no more now. Right. Now it's like, okay, show us why we select you. Why do we is this a wasted pick or this is gonna be a value pick? And just coming in every day competing against those guys and had the dogs that I had around me, it didn't mean anything. Like I had a Justice Smith around me who'd been in the league at the time, like I think for like 11 to 12 years, he ended up playing 16. He didn't care. He told you anything you wanted. You wanted to know knowledge or anything, he told you. But he was so confident in his job, he knew you wasn't going to beat him out. He knew he was going to beat you out. So that's when I started learning different veterans. And I said, them veterans that's comfortable, that know, you ain't going to say, I can tell you everything, but you're not going to beat it because I've been in this league longer. So when it was that, it was like, okay, cool, let me go and find a vet. I ended up jumping to Justice Smith and sticking with him and seeing how he moved, how he did things, how his routines was. And back then, boy, it was 2-a-days. And we had Singletary. No, I'm gonna say this for NFL. Younger guys wouldn't have made it through 2-a-days back then. Now that man took us through a 85 Chicago Bear practice every day. And I'm not, y'all, bro. You talking about, bro? Come out there. We come out at 8 a.m. in the morning. Pads. 8 a.m. in the morning. We gonna stretch. We gonna do warm up. The first drill is Oklahoma.
Oh,
come on.
In the NFL?
Your first, people that first drill, we going to Oklahoma, boy, and we banging. Then we go on the inside, we still banging. It was just like, so you telling me we got to go through this for the next whole month? So you tell it, and it was 2-a-days. It wasn't like how guys be like, oh man, we got one practice and we saw it. I'm like, bro, we go through 2-a-days, bro. Yeah. And once you go to that first practice, you ain't finna leave. Dudes land in their lockers, got pillows. Bro, don't even know what the house looked like, the hotel. They get their food. It was just to a point, dog. People used to bring their bed and just put it in the locker room. Like, what's the point I'm going home for? Because we're gonna be here from 8 in the morning to 8 at night doing meetings. Yeah. And you doing this for the next, thing like training camp back then, like 4 weeks. Yeah. So you doing it, and especially if you had to go to those teams that left the city. Yeah. So you out in the middle of nowhere, you're on a college campus or something, and this is what you about to do, man. Dude, just sleep inside their locker. They ain't leaving. Yeah. Like when you said earlier, like, can kids make not back then, not 2-a-days, not that way. You talking about you hitting padded practice, you doing 5 days of 2-a-day practice every day, full padded.
Not a Mike Singletary practice.
I'm about to say, it's safe to say he took you back to your Walt Frazier days.
Man.
Because I remember before the scrimmage, y'all had practice. You lose a game, you got practice
after that. I was just going to ask that, how was that going from Miami to Baton Rouge to San Fran? Like, those are all different cultures.
And I liked it.
Yeah.
It molded me.
Yeah. Because
I went from not saying Baton Rouge, it's country. It is. But Louisiana had its own style then. When I went to the West Coast, it was like, oh, damn. The whole world changes. Yeah. It's nothing like Florida. It's nothing like North Carolina, South Carolina, anything on our side of the region. It was a whole different culture. It was like, okay, I got to, here we some melting pot. I'm going right back to another melting pot just with different coaches. I coach with people I've never been around. So it was cool, even to see mountains and snow and all that. Wait, that was exciting for kid coming out of Miami. We see snow. Yeah. We get to see mountains. We get to see different landscapes. Yeah. Oh, I was like, oh, this is dope. This is cool. This is a cool experience. But I think that literally helped me going from Miami to Baton Rouge to California. It was like I had to change each time. The same person, the person that was in Baton Rouge couldn't be the person to go to California. And to grow from there. So it always had to be a different kid, or I'm not a different kid, but just being a different man or male or a man going on different stages, always having to adjust to be comfortable in that space. You're going to be uncomfortable first, but to be comfortable in it, you had to change.
Yeah.
Because I done spent time on the West Coast too. It's a whole different culture.
Oh man,
people way more laid back, not as much as aggressive.
Oh man, people saying, "How do you feel? Hey, how you doing?" I'm like, I don't even know you. When people say, "Hey, you want a coffee?" I got a few extra bucks. I don't want to give them change. Hey, you take a coffee. Give you the newspaper, and I'm like, but boy, when you go, and I got back from West Coast over here, man, what you saying? What's up to me? Oh shit, I forgot. I'm back. I forgot. I'm back in Miami now. But no, like you said, on the West Coast, and I was in the Bay. I was from South Palo Alto to all the way to San Francisco to San Jose, where we practiced at, but we played in San Francisco. Yeah, a whole different thing. Shout out to all my Samoans, all my Usos. I just love them. All them Samoan people, love them to death. Boy. Love them. That was my favorite culture of people to go around. You seen how close net they was around with each other. And boy, when you talking about you gonna eat, you gonna eat.
They gonna eat. They gonna feed you.
You gonna eat when you come to Polly's.
And why they always the strongest person on the team,
bro? Right? You ain't never met a weak Polynesian, have you?
Yes.
A weak one?
Oh no!
Weak Polynesian.
Man, no, I never had a weak.
Never. Biggest calf, biggest arms.
They're always the strongest, bro, on the team.
Always.
So being drafted in the 7th round, like you say, they don't even make the 53-man roster, right? You had a 10-year career. You get what I'm saying? Like, how does that happen?
Just like I said, just looking at those veterans. When I got there, I had Justin Smith, and I seen the Isaac Bruce. He was in the back end of his career. I saw Larry Allen, God bless his soul. I saw Nate Clem and Dre Blige. Like, people don't understand. That's how old I am. I caught these dudes. Then I had the blessing to be with Randy Moss. And I used to always ask them, bro, how physically, how did y'all make it for 15 years or 16 in the league? And they would just show me like what their routine was. Randy Moss had a routine. He would go underneath the water. He had 245s. He got to go down and back that pool without coming up. If he came up throughout that process, that means he wasn't in shape. Because he wasn't a big dude that lifted weights. So he would always do all his exercise underwater. And I'm like, bro, why you always underwater? He was like, wait till I touch the field. So when he went out there to work out, the first day he came out to work out, they was like, yo, throw the ball to him. We didn't have Alex Smith in there. Then we was like, damn, the kid we had back there couldn't throw. We was like, yo, Cap, go outside and throw the ball to Randy. Randy take off first 3 yards. His hands go like this, just let it go. You talking about 40, 50-yard drops. And then it's like he's not even running fast. Now, like, hey, what was his 40 time? At the age of 37 or 4.35.
I believe it. I know.
And I just be like, yo, that's unreal. This man can still run that. Even Coach, at the time I had Coach John Harbaugh. He going out there, he's slanging the rock. He's like, I want to throw the Randy Moss. I ain't never had a receiver right like this. So we had workouts and he letting it fly.
The freak met the freak.
That's
what they call Randy.
And just like his routines and the way he carried himself, he's like, Rick, I don't go out a lot. Rick, I don't really drink. Rick, I don't really do this. I'm with my family. Either I'm in this building or I'm back at home with the family, or I'm stretching. I'm doing some type of rehab, just something to the body to keep longevity. He said he done that for so long. Then I started adding on. Then I started asking, who your massage woman is, who your acupuncture person is, who do all this for you, or what did you do in the off season that I can keep doing this? So when they started telling me throughout my career, I would always find dudes, who your person, who that person, and I would just add them on to me, and I would just go throughout my career with those same people.
Just learning how to be a professional and take care of your body.
And that's being professional. That's number one.
That's about
taking care of your body. You can't expect to move like a Ferrari, and you ain't tuning it up. You ain't doing what's necessary to make the thing move like a Ferrari. So yeah, that was the first step of being a professional. How to take care of your body.
So what can you say was like your funnest year in the NFL? Because you're in the NFL, you living this high life, things like that. What's your best year in the NFL?
Ooh.
Stats wise.
I've never paid attention stat wise. I don't know. I think either my third or fourth year in San Francisco was my fun and my best stats. Even though the crazy thing is, I wasn't even a starter at the time. I was coming off the bench. My best stat year had to be in Indianapolis. I take that back. Indianapolis or either Washington, one of those two places. But like to be best productive was in New England. I didn't get on the field. I remember the statistic. If I had 10 snaps, I would make 7 out of 8 of those plays. And I'm only getting 10 snaps a game. Most productive in 10 snaps, I'm gonna make 7 to 8 of plays. 7 to 8 of those plays. And I was up there with some top defensive linemen that played 50 snaps a game. Yeah. But I had the same production as them. But my funnest years was in San Francisco. I was the most close-knit group guys we didn't had. I was Justin Smith, Ray McDonald, Patrick Willis, Navarro Bowman. Yeah. We had Randy Moss, and bro, Randy's one of the most funniest. You talking about a country funny dude? Yeah. Bro, there's no way he takes something serious, bro. You talk to him. He the most funniest dude. But that team that we had those 2 years that I was there, that was the most close-knitly dudes. I'm talking about everywhere we went together. Everything we did, we was together. That was crazy. Yeah, San Francisco had to be one of my funnest places because I also did a internship while I was there at Apple. God bless his soul. I was there with Steve Jobs and them. So before everybody seen these nice iPhones and all this technology and stuff, I was in the center of where you get Uber, where you get Lyft, where you get all this technology and stuff from.
Everything in the beta stage. You seen in the baby stage of everything.
I seen everything out there.
In the Bay, they got that data with the richest technology companies.
Silicon Valley.
Thank you. That's what
Silicon Valley.
Literally, if San Jose was right here, you probably could have walked out your door and you saw Silicon Valley. Mm-hmm. You seen all the tech companies. You seen everything before they even started becoming. So I took a chance and started working there. And that's when I started learning about the iPhone. I started learning about everything. I even went to the meetings when Steve Jobs said, what I'm creating right now is going to become the world. And I was like, damn, didn't he mean take over the world? But he was right. It did become the world. Because everything you touch with, it had to come off of what he was doing.
Yeah.
The ISO program, the iPads, the iPhones, the technology to it. And people don't realize is everybody had to be 5 years behind because he had a patent that nobody couldn't come out with a phone like that or had the capability of that until 5 years. So Apple was already out front. Mm-hmm. So when everything else come, think about it. You look at your phone right now. I bet if that phone go green, you look at it crazy. Because somebody 5 years put in your head, if that thing ain't blue, you don't need to get with it. So he's already out 5 to 10 years. He was already stacking technology. So now when you saw another phone, any phone come out, you wasn't gonna really like it because because Apple already did his job. And when I heard that man say that, I'm like, he said, "Become the world." I'm like, oh damn. Now I look back at it. Apple became the world.
Yeah.
So I hear you talking about that some of your best times was at the 49ers, but then you ended up getting traded. How was that transition?
I wasn't traded. It was a free agency when I left and went to Indianapolis. I wanted to stay in San Francisco. It just, when it comes to business, and I'm gonna say that I hate when I hear a player say, "Yeah, I want to be a 49 for the rest of my life and all that." Stop it. These people already know if they want you or not. I just said you'll sit in a negotiating room and hear them negotiate with you, and when they say the numbers they say to you, you like, "Damn, I thought y'all really actually liked me. I thought y'all really did." And you realize now, like, "Hey man, we're gonna give you this. I think this is where your best value at." Yeah. And then when I hit the free agent market, what they offered me for a whole contract, they did that in the first year. So I was like, I said, it was nice talking to y'all. If you can't match it, it's over with. But I like that that process because it gave me a chance to meet with other different teams and see how teams really treated you. And then when you really got on the market, now you just heard your own team tell you. I'm gonna use just example. Somebody say, "Yo, your team telling you 3 for 7, 3 or 7 mil." Now they won't let you try to get out of that building. That's why a lot of the time they'll franchise tag you, so you won't really know your true value.
Yeah.
Now when you go into free agency, you didn't heard somebody say 3 for 7. Now somebody telling you, "Hey, we give you 4 for 30." And in the first, and that will become your average. now you like, well, damn, why am I like you calling back your old team? Like, bro, why couldn't you match that? Well, we didn't fit you. We didn't see you as that value. Damn, how you don't see me in this value? And these teams who I ain't even play with don't even see me as that.
Yeah. They going off your 7th round draft value too. That's what they also think.
But no, they trying to get. They know what they got.
Yeah.
Right. So they trying to get you as low as possible. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
high value, but low as possible. That's all it is.
And that's business. So when I got a chance, I had my first visit was to Philadelphia, and Chip Kelly just became a coach, and we was sitting in there, and they was giving me negotiation, and I was sitting here like, I was trying to beat one of my guys, Ray McDonald's deal when he was in San Francisco, and I was trying to beat him by a year so the money can be literally better. And we kept going back and forth, and out of nowhere, Greg Minuski, who's the coach for, I think he's a Minnesota linebacker coach, he was in Indianapolis. He gave me a call. He's like, "Bro, where you at?" I said, now mind you, I'm on the phone inside Philadelphia negotiating room, talking to the Indianapolis coach, linebacker coach. He was my defense coordinator in San Francisco. That's where relationships come in in the league. So he was like, "Hey, I want you to get out of there, and I want you to go to this private strip." And I'm like, "But I'm negotiating." He said, "You really want to stay there? You really want to be with a coach who haven't even touched him?" And that was Chip Kelly's first year. That's when he signed on. He didn't even do a season yet with him. So he was like, "You really want to go there?" He said, "Rick, I'll make it worth your while if you leave, you walk out of that building right now." I said, "Okay, cool, boom." Negotiator came right back in at the same time I had that phone in my hand. And he was like, "Rick, this is the best deal we can do." I was like, I said, "Bro, I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna walk on it." He said, "If you leave this, you won't get another better deal." I said, "Okay, cool." We ended up leaving. Joe Lento was my agent, same agent that was for Joe Flacco. We ended up going to this private strip. I'm thinking, I'm ignorant. I'm sorry. I ain't never been on a private. I ain't been on a private jet, so I don't know this. Yeah. I'm thinking, hey, what's the name of the airport? Don't go to the airport. Just go to this private strip. I'm like, American Airlines, Delta? He said, "Bro, just go to it." We go to it. Me and my agent, we sitting there, and I'm looking at this. I'm like, nothing in my head clicked. This is a private airport strip. So I'm sitting there chilling. All I just saw was a white airplane come in with an Indianapolis Colts symbol, a jet come in. I'm like, "Oh," I said, "Man, who is this for?" She was like, "Oh, no, that's for you." I said, "Oh, they sent me a jet." They were like, "Yeah." I said, "Oh shit, I might not. Yeah. I'm not coming back to Philly." We get on the plane, we fly in. The next morning, we come up there. I saw Gritson. I think he's somebody at Jacksonville right now. He's sitting up there, like, "Rick, nice to meet you. Let us walk around the building." Me and Greg Minuski had time to, get back in the saddle with each other from San Francisco. Defense wasn't different. So I'm like, I said, "Oh, this is the same defense we ran in San Francisco I was successful in, so I'm going to be good." Came in, they say, "Rick, you're not leaving it." Like, literally, you might hear, I don't know if they do this anymore. Before, back then, free agent, they'll say they'll lock the door on free agent. You couldn't leave the building until we got this deal done. So they was like, "Yo, you're not leaving until this deal is done." And you'd be like, "Bro, but somebody else got to bet that we'll match what anybody else finna give you." So my agent walked in, he was like, "They finna give us the deal." And when I saw the deal hit the table, I just started crying. And the GM looked at me, "What you crying for?" Man, I ain't never seen that type of money. I ain't never seen that type of money in my life. And I'm sitting here like, I looked at my agent. He was like, "Rick, please don't let us go to another team. Like, just sign this deal." And I said, "This the highest?" He was like, we didn't get to the highest. I had the second highest behind, I think his name was Dez Bryant, the defensive tackle that went to the Cleveland Browns. He was the first highest. I was the second. But just seeing that number with those type of numbers, you sitting here like, damn, what it say? Hey, boy, you talking about going from college stipend that's $2,500 a month. You think your Pell Grant was something. You think 2 bands for a Pell Grant made you rich. Hey, what you thought you hit a lick? But now you finna look at this contract that has this many damn numbers on it. You done worked this hard. You done everything. And you see this and you sign that piece of paper, man, you talking about the greatest experience. That was the best experience. And then be able to, I'm like, okay, they finna ship me back home they finna tell me to go to the airport. They're like, "Hey, I'm gonna do you a favor. Get on the jet, take it back home." I I said, oh, I can go back to Fort Lauderdale? He's like, yeah. Oh, man. I was like, yeah, we're going back home. And then, boy, I took every picture in the world in that damn jet. I put my hand to the side, see the Indianapolis coat. Yeah, boy, y'all see it. Yeah. But that was a great experience because it changed my life and it changed my family life. And it was just like, I don't care what nobody say. When you see those, you see that many numbers, you see that many zeros on there, and this is what you finna get paid for the next 3-4 years, or you gonna get paid this weekly. Ooh. It's a blessing, bro.
I'm glad you said that too. That money changed not only your life but your family life, right?
Yeah.
And I hear a lot of people try to give NFL players advice that where you can't take care of your family because you're gonna go broke. Mm-hmm. Could you talk to that narrative that, you know what I mean, most NFL players do actually, you know, don't end their career well off?
Right. But a lot of people, every player got a kind of heart. I know you want to take care of everybody, but realistically, you can't. It's just no way impossible because you don't see the taxes. Your uncle comes, now Uncle Sam. He gonna get him first, depending what state you're coming from. In taxes, you finna lose that. Then you got to pay your agent. Then whatever the upkeep of your lifestyle, you finna add more. You finna add more liability. You finna add a few more things. You finna add a car, you know, some more jewelry and all that. And by the time you get to it, you want to help your family out, but you can't go and buy your mom a new car. You can't go and buy the new house. You can't go buy that. Sit down, find somebody financially. One of my things I did before I got my contract, I sat down with all my teammates and asked, yo, who your financial guys? Who your financial guys? Who your financial guys? Because I know you're not finna let me walk into this many million and think I got to know how to manage this or something like that. At that time, nobody tells you, but you have like an old head. Randy Moss taught me. Randy Moss was just telling me, he said, bro, you can have new cousins, you can have new aunties, you can have new uncles, you can have people you ain't never seen in your life that's gonna tell you every business opportunity in the world. Or they're gonna tell you, man, hey man, let me get the dollar, let me get that 100, let me get this. And in your head, they thinking like, man, it won't bother you. Yes, the hell it will. Mm-hmm. I gotta take $100 out of my pocket that I had your ACL and damn near probably tweaked a few times, your knees, your back, the days you can't really roll out of bed. At that time, I tell people, I give you money. If you can do what I do for, we gotta give it to you. If you go through whatever I go through, from practice to lifting weights to all the stuff I gotta go through today, I give it to you. Mm-hmm. People would not even waste their time. So guys gotta understand that money's not going to last long. It's not gonna last forever, especially if you don't have somebody in your corner or around you or who works for you to make sure this money can stretch another 100 years. That it actually can be invested and grown more, and it can make sure to take care of your family. Your family ain't got to change their lifestyle; they don't have to. Mom good where she at, dad, or hopefully you got one household, or parents where they at, or friends and all that, bro. That money got to stay in your pocket. It has to be. Or I had a guy that was a financial. He would be like, yo, your whole salary going here. I'm gonna give you this money to mess up. Once you mess this money up, I'm not giving you another dollar. Yeah. And that helped me. Just like, yo, I'm not giving you another dollar. Because if you have all this and you know you got access to this money, you're going to blow it. Everybody around you going to seem like, man, they need it. Man, you know, it's time hard. Man, you know, what was the time hard before then? Right. When was the business ideas coming in? When did I meet this third cousin? I ain't never seen on my mama's sister, cousin, auntie side. Yeah. I've never met these people. So I know everybody want to be so helpful. You want to buy mom a car. You want to do this. Find somebody around you that's financially responsible. Learn from them or ask them or find a financial guy or make a relationship with a bank and make sure they can help you so you don't go make those decisions of, think about it, you go buy your mom $1 million house, okay, cool. You got to have the upkeep. We don't never think about what the upkeep of a house could be. Upkeep to people want to go and grab Ferraris and foreigns and stuff. Bro, just to go and get an oil change, something is $800 to $1,000. Yeah. So we're not thinking about that because we never had a chance to touch that type of money before. So you have to really be responsible. Even though it's kind of hard at the moment, when you see those numbers, you're like, boy, I'm about to go this, boy, I'm going to snatch this, I'm going to copy this. But it has to be that voice that's on the other side of your show that you really don't feed as much. Listen to them, hey, yo, you gotta do some financial responsibility.
Yeah, because it gotta take you back to those days, like when you first got drafted. And it's like, man, I was 7th round. Like people think, oh, I got drafted, oh, I hit because I'm in the NFL. It's not like that. It's like I wasn't first round. First round and 7th round money is totally different.
They're totally different. Completely.
So it's like, how did you keep control from not doing that or making bad business deals and stuff like that?
Because like I was asking, when I was in San Francisco, when you first get to an NFL facility, it's gonna look like an exotic car dealership. And then you're hanging around these guys every day. You making relationships.
Yeah.
You walking around dude who's driving 458 Italian. You walking around another dude that got probably a Mustang Cobra. Somebody in that car like gonna have something that you're interested in.
Right.
And in your head, you're gonna be thinking like, "Boy, I'm in the league. Boy, I can cop this," and you know damn well you can't. You don't need to touch this $100,000 whip. We ain't built up to that point.
Yeah.
Believe me, it gets you sometimes when you see them with the bust down rollie, you see them with the chains and all. It's real tempting, boy. You learn a lot about yourself at that moment. When you like, well, I'm finna go get this, I'm finna go get that, and then you realize when that season over with, that was the last check, what?
Yeah.
Now you got to make it from February all the way to the next season, and if you ain't do the right things responsible, boy, you finna go through a hard off season, and especially if you ain't got a player performance or you ain't got a bonus, as most guys get throughout this time. Oh, you got to figure out how to make it from February all the way to August till you get that next paycheck again. So it like I said, it really does get to the point when you see it, you're gonna get tempted. It's just human. We never had it. So when you get to see guys who's around you, you walk inside their house, man, you can see straight out the back of them. You can see pools, you can see everything. They're doing everything you wanted. Now you got to understand, it's gonna be something in you that's gonna start growing. Like, man, I gotta get this, I gotta do that. But it has to be somebody in your corner to financially tell you it's not time yet, bro.
Yeah.
We start building by doing little small investments that can get you the Cuban link, that can get you the bust down. But even when you get it, this investment's still going, so it can cover the cost of what you just spent on this.
Right. So, like you said, now you transitioning, right? You transitioning life after football. And like you just said, when the season ends, those checks end.
Right.
But when your career ends, you ain't getting no more. You ain't another season, basically.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? So, you talk a little bit about that, like how you can stay afloat and how people stay afloat, like during those times?
You got to make those sacrifices. I understand the one thing everybody, of dudes who have money always say, you got to change your spending habit. The spending habit has to change. You can't go cop the new shoes. You can't go cop the new car, because you got to figure out, yo, this is my last thing. If you realize in sports today, every time you see a guy retire, what he become? A sports analyst. He becomes a football coach, so they can try to keep up that spending habit, but you don't have to. As long as you're comfortable, you got a paid off house, paid off car, insurance policy, for make sure everybody's taken care of, and you got your kids set up. You really don't have to keep living that life. And then at time, you can downsize the house, because at that time there was a period in the market that you could have downsized and got something. You really could have got your bang for your buck. You don't need this big size house anymore. You need a house that's in a nice community for sure. That's nice size, that you can pay the property tax, you can pay the mortgage. You ain't got to stress. Now you downsize the stuff that now you can take care of. Because my thing is, like, I see dudes going to the club and stuff. I don't want to go to the club. I did it already.
Yeah.
What a lot of people are doing now, I already did it. So now it's like, I don't want to go to the club no more. I go travel. I'll take my family to go traveling. I go take my family to have an experience. But to keep spending that same way, bro, that account gonna start getting real low when ain't something pouring back into it.
Yeah. Now let's talk about this logo here I got on.
Yeah, you dropped on some drip to it.
Yeah, you get what I'm saying? So talk a little bit about this. What's this logo? What's this about?
It's prolific. This is my company called Prolific Direction. I came with, when I got out of the league, I had to start figuring out, like, yo, what I want to do next. What's the next move? I've already finished the first half of whatever I'm going to do in my life now. What's the next move? And I started meeting up with different people, started getting in different circles. I started realizing that I am valuable. I have the art of conversation. I spoke to so many of these CEOs and all this. I understand. I now have to understand how to start, running my own company. I wanted to start cutting my own checks, start doing stuff for myself. I didn't want to work for nobody. I didn't want to become no coach. I didn't want to become anything that had to do in this machine called the NFL. I didn't want to be a part. I didn't want to be a part of it, and to the point that I have to give up my life again for another 11 to 12 years to be back in this football facility.
Right.
I want to do something that I can affect the culture with not having to give up my whole time. But the logo is Prolific Direction. Just it means a lot to me, because one of my favorite rappers is Nipsey Hussle. He used to always talk about being prolific, and that word just stuck with me. And I was like, yo, I'm gonna live and breathe by this. I want to be prolific. When you hear conversation from people talking about people that's really being prolific, Michael Jackson prolific, Michael Jordan is, LeBron James. So when you hear that the name prolific being attached to those types of successful people, why not build a company that way? Why not be a prolific company that grows its abundance? That has a boatload of work, that have done a lot of different things. So I started dibbling and dab, but when I started looking around at different companies, I was like, damn, everybody got a logo, everybody got a brand.
Right.
So now I don't want Ricky Jean Francois is it, but now I got to put a brand behind it. What does it do? So I said, okay, not to use my name, let me put my own company out there. Prolific Direction, what it does, it's dealing in asset management, it's dealing in real estate, it's dealing in crypto, it's dealing in advising, it's dealing in financial literacy, or just going out being a keynote speaker at different events about financial literacy. So I had to find so many avenues, to the point it kept me so busy. Now it's like the ways I was in the league, because it's one thing, it's hard for NFL players. You've been having just football player in general, or athlete, you've been having a schedule every day.
Yeah.
Since you was in high school all the way to the professional level.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden this is cut. You got to make your own schedule. So how you finna start filling these? How you gonna start fulfilling these hours? So now it's like, okay, cool. I'm getting up at 5:30 a.m. in the morning, taking a 2-hour jog. I'm back in here. I'm doing the weight room. I'm doing all this before my son get up, take him to school. Now I'm locked into doing it. So now you building your own schedule. Now you're gonna really see how effective you is by yourself on your own, and you have to make your way. So when I started like studying guys like the Nipsey Hussle, people like a Kobe Bryant, people like Steve Jobs, and seeing how their everyday routine was, I started implementing their routine into my thing. They always told me you had to be up at 5 o'clock a.m. in the morning. And I was like, yo, okay, I'm gonna start getting up 5 a.m. And I was like, okay, what's the next thing? I would go get my Bible, because mama church going woman, she raised me right. So I would always read my Bible in the morning. And as time went on, I started meditating, or I started taking deep breath, or I started visualizing what's gonna go on. Then the weight room, then when all that started coming about, I was like, oh snap, I actually started building my own schedule. I really don't have time for things like as I was in the NFL. Because in the NFL, 6 a.m. to 8 p.m., this is your everyday schedule in the season. You're not going to see your family. You're not going to be able to see your kids, anything like that. Times might change. They probably do. But I know when I was in those successful programs in the NFL, your time was dedicated to football. They gave you your off season. You enjoyed it then. But when it was time during the league, this is your schedule. This is what you're going to eat.
You better be in facility.
Hey, what? Every day. You better be here. Like Marshawn Lynch said, hey, I want to be here because I don't get fined.
So I don't get fined. You say you a mentor, right?
Yeah.
And that's for what, all ages?
Just for all ages.
All ages.
Yeah, for all ages.
So what type of message you try to get across to these kids now, especially dealing with the NIL and also the parents too?
Don't look at your kid as an ATM machine, because they're not an ATM machine. And the athlete, do something smart with the money. Start educating yourself about financial. Somehow, some way. It could be little by little, but you ain't got to take up your time. I know half of the time for kids, their attention span ain't longer than 15 minutes. So if you're going to do that, fill it in with something that's going to interest you in those 15 minutes. Something, just learn about saving account, learn about money market account, learn about CDs, learn about IUL, learn about insurance policy, learn about the stock market. I understand people say the stock market is complicated. It's really not. If you look at it, everything that you touch or anything that you put yourself with, even like grocery stores and all, they got stocks. Why not learn about them? Them things gonna keep going up and up and up. Don't you want to be a part of it? Don't you want to, put your money into place when to do that? And my biggest thing is, when I would get the athlete, I would love to talk to the parent, because now I can start putting dimes in the parent's head. So now when they start talking to their kids, now they can start curving their kid into, hey, why not buy some shares in Apple? Or why not let's go buy a whole life insurance policy? Or why not open an IRA Roth account for the little brother or for yourself, so you just don't only have a 401k? Like, started just doing the littlest thing, and then over time, you'll start seeing a difference. You'll start seeing it. But from the parents got to be the first, because when a kid see me, you only just seeing me. They can tell you my introduction, but we only can build a relationship over time. Let me talk to the person that you already have a relationship with. The person they're not going to lead you wrong. Let me go talk to the parents. Let me go talk to them, because they already dealt with money. They already deal with $60,000, $70,000 salary, paying mortgage, paying for your behind, food and all that. So let me go talk to the person that's already financially here. and then that person can now start going into them, telling them, hey, yo, let's try this out. Oh, let's try to do that. Oh, let's do this. Because if the parents tell a kid that, the kid gonna listen. If you love your mom and your dad, because you only get one of those, you love your mom and your dad and they're telling you something that you never heard before, and now they're telling you to look into, hey, go research that. Go look that up and see what it's doing. Because all these billionaires ain't just become billionaires off of nothing.
Right.
They fall in their lap either.
Yeah, they all had to start somewhere. So why not start for the NIQ? Why not start being the Rockefeller right now? Why not start being the DuPont family right now? Why not start being those families that we hear about all the time? I don't want to be nothing against Elon and all of them.
Right.
It's different when you hear those names, you're those billionaires. But when you start hearing families, that's generation. This is over a period of time.
Yeah.
Like these people ain't just come instant rich. They've been they're wealthy. You understand that because they've been a part of this. They've been a part of the financial scheme of the United States of America since it's been created. So why not become one of those families? It only take one person to do it. If you go back and read even the Roth family, when you go back and you read about these families, the Medici family, somebody had to sacrifice to become that first person to make sure that their family have the influence they have now in the world that we're in. So why not be that person? Because it's only upside from there. Yeah. The more you learn, the more information you intake, the more you weaponize yourself. Right. Now you walk into our room, you can hold a conversation with anybody. They can talk about anything you want. You already know it. Sometimes people like me, he don't know what he's talking about. I might not know, but I'm gonna be quiet and I'm gonna listen. You're gonna teach me everything. By me being quiet and just listening, not to respond, but just to take in information, I'm learning a lot. So when I go into the next room, I already know what to talk about. I already know how to, like I said, the art of conversation take place. So just talking to those parents and talking to those kids over a period of time, I just pray and hope that somebody listen and now implement it in their child life, and their child see the benefits of what their mom and dad did when they took that 20 or 30 minutes just to come out to the school and just hear me speak. So I want to have that type of impact into a kid so they know their mom and dad invested in you. They really did. Without money, they invested in you. They invested here.
Right. So this is my last question. We're going to start wrapping up the interview, man. You just gave us some great advice on financial stability and things like that. So I want to ask you, right? Who is your top 3 business men or people that you look up to right now?
Look up to? I don't
like you say.
Okay, I say one was Nipsey. I looked from his. He had I remember the one that made me go to him was he sold his CD for $1,000 mixtape.
I remember
for $1,000
mailbox music.
But people, but people didn't understand where he got that from. He got it from a dude that was up in Philly that was doing the $1,000. I think it's a cheesesteak that was that much. Most people when they hear it, they be crazy like nobody gonna buy it, but you're buying it for the experience. So that was one. Then when I went to 50 Cent to see what 50 Cent, aka Curtis Jackson, when I started looking at him like what it is, play harder, and I actually started listening to how he come up and now he's the mogul he is. I started looking at him and damn, who else do I look at? I really don't look at nobody. I study them all. I study everybody habit. I study how their routines, how they move, what they invest in, how they doing things. I'll say this: the third person is Warren Buffett. Because Warren Buffett is the man that actually played Monopoly in the world and we don't pay attention. This man is playing Monopoly. We're not paying attention.
I say he count pennies.
People don't understand, this man is right now playing Monopoly. This man right now has more money than the U.S. government right now, sitting on the sideline waiting to buy some type of infrastructure or be a part of the infrastructure that's going to happen. But those are the 3 guys I pay attention to. I've looked them up. I see what they're doing or how whatever they did impacted the community, the world, or how they put themselves in a position that they're always going to be there. The name itself of the company or whatever they've done is always going to stick there.
Yeah. So now let's switch it over on the athlete side. Your top 3 athletes that you played with.
Did I play with?
Played with throughout your career. Whether it was that 1 year Optimist, high school, college, winning the state. NFL. You got, now you're on the natty team. You out there in the NFL.
You said top 3, damn.
Yeah, I ain't finna give you a lot. Can't give you a lot.
Number 1 gonna be Julius Peppers. Okay. Football and basketball court.
He's two sport athlete. Yeah, he's like that.
Woo. 2 is Xavier Carter.
Okay. That's you.
Yeah.
I know one you better say. Yeah, Xavier Carter was that man. He also a Florida boy.
Yeah.
3rd?
Pee Wee.
Oh, man.
You've been talking about him a lot, too, in this interview. So,
Randy Moss.
yeah, you had to.
Randy Moss, Randy Moss. That was the freaks. Yeah, he was. That I can say.
Yeah.
I had the opportunity to train with Julius Peppers and just seeing how massive he, like, when you see a dude and he's big. No, he's just massive. And then you're trying to run. Like, bro, I used to work out with him and I used to take off. Like, just have a horn. I would take off 3-4 steps before he took off. And, bro, it was just like he was just covering 5 yards every damn step. He was just covering. It was like, bro, are you really trying to run? Or you just like this? But just seeing him and then just seeing him come out of UNC and he came off a basketball court, bro.
Yeah.
And possibly could still play basketball now if he wanted to. He was that athlete. And Xavier Carter, that was just, bro.
Yeah.
God-given
unreal. That was God-given talent from high school all the way into the pros. And yeah, man, hey, Randy Moss, man, we grew up on him. We was kids, and then it was crazy to go in the locker room like, oh shit, it's Randy Moss outside. I got his last worn jersey. I made sure with his last worn jersey, I made sure I got that thing. Made sure he signed it. I hope he's feeling good. I hope he's better.
Yeah,
we've been missing him off ESPN. I hope he's feeling better. But Randy, man, I love you, bro. You still one of the craziest, countryest dudes I've ever met.
And that right there, man, to wrap it up, man.